Right, hello and welcome on this windy Sunday afternoon. Sorry I'm a little bit late, I got a bit sidetracked, but yeah, this is the last of my Christmas bought sets. Well, that I was given over Christmas by my friend Jen Star, so thank you very much. It's set 10348 and it's got 474 pieces. So let's see what we've got. So that's the box empty. So quite a small instructions. And we have, quite weird, it's two different sets of bags. So we have 6 bags in total. But we have these numbers, and then we've got this sort of bag with a different number on. So I don't know why they've got 2 different types of bags. But yeah, that's bag 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So hopefully we'll get this done in one go, but we'll see how it goes. So let's get a tray out, as usual. I hope you're all doing well on this Sunday afternoon. So, Japanese red maple bonsai tree. The beauty and tranquility of the Japanese red maple makes it popular with bonsai enthusiasts as a symbol of peace, longevity and prosperity. Native to Japan, China and Korea, it is widely cherished for its radiant hand-shaped leaves. In nature, this slow-growing tree offers breathtaking colours in spring and autumn and can live for more than a century. With this Lego Botanicals version, you can create, decorate and celebrate life's quiet moments, adding a versatile touch of elegance to your home decor. Nurture your creativity and enjoy the result for years to come. Very nice. And its Latin name is Acer palmatum. Very nice. So, make sure we've still got the instructions in view. Put the tray there. And we've got a little bag inside. And we've got another different coloured tool. So I think that's 2 blue ones I've got now. Right, so and I think we'll need the second tray for all the big bits. Got another new unique piece. A little heart-shaped leaf. Very cute. We've got a few of them. Might have to get more trays. Right, let's get on with this. So, what do we start with? We start with a 4x4 black plate, and we put that on there, the yellow 2x3, and then put this little 2x1 with round edges and holes on there. And then, oh, what's this? So we've got another 4x4, and what's this? So we'll take the 2x2 red, and we take a 2x1 dark green, and what have we got here? We've got a 2x1 brick with this plugs already built in. Usually they do them separate. So that goes on there like that. Then got this weird piece. So that goes on the top of there like that. And then apparently that sits on like that, yeah? Yeah, so we take the other 4x4 and we've got these little ones, the raised bit, and then 2 studs off the front. So that goes like that, with another one of these little 2x1 with circular ends on the top, and then so that goes like that, yeah. And then so we've got these 2x6 with a raised bit with 4 on one side. So that, and then we've got, what's that? That's 2x10. So that sits on there. And then so we've got, so those sit on to there like that. So we've got the line all the way across. We do that twice. And then those sit on either side of what we'd already built before. So I presume this is the base, the little pot that the plants comes out of. So what have we got here? And we do 2 of these as well. And another one either side. So what's that? Okay, so we've got these little dark green right angles. So they go either side, and then kind of these dark sand 2x1s, they go either side at the end. do another one of them. So, like that, yep. Same again with those on the ends. Right, and then where do these go? These with the right angle bits facing out, so they snap onto the end of there, yeah? And then them facing this way. And then, what have we got here? So we've got 2 each of those, and they go across the top like that, and then the blue one I think that's technically filler brick, that's why it doesn't matter what colour, bright colours it is. Right, so 2x6 and another 2x6, so they go on each end like that. And then we have some tiled plates, 2x1 dark green, and they just cover the ends like that, one on either side. So okay, so what's that? So 2x1, and then we've got this little 1 stud with 2 going up the side. So that goes like that. So we do 4 of those, alright. So that's the 4 of them, so they go on, they clip on to the sides there. So then these bits face the side, and then there'll be bits clipping onto that. Right, and then same the other end. Right, okie doke. And then what's these? 2 long brown logs. Giggity. So they clip on, yeah, with 1 gap at the end. And then same other side. And then we turn it round, and we've got two of these, so they're double 2x1s, but they've got the 2x2 on the side. So, how do these go on? So they go on like this. Yeah. So we've got the two studs, and then opposite. So there's two studs are poking down. So I wonder what that connects to. Right. So we put that to one side. What have we got here? Lots more of these right angle pieces. So they're not a full brick. It's like they've taken one flat stud off the top. So it's not a full brick. So that goes like that, yeah. And then okay, that goes on like that. Yeah. And another one of those. So that connects onto the top like that. Yes. Okay. And then we've got one of these little arch with a stud on the top. Right. So how does that go on? So that apparently goes on like that. Oh, okay. That makes perfectly sits over the top of the other one. Excuse me. Right, so we've got a little one tile, one stud there, and then we've got a little one by one. Where did that go? I hope I didn't lose that. Right, and that goes on the top there. Yeah. Then, okay, what's that? So that goes on the top like that, yeah. Then a little one by one brick that goes under there. And then another one of these on the top. Alright, yeah. And then apparently that sits on like that. Yeah, okay, so where's this go? Right. So we've got these little, with two off the side. So that goes there, yeah. And then another one of these. That goes on there. And then two of those, yeah. And we do that twice. Right, so that goes over the top there. And then that sits over the top like that. So then we've got to do that twice over. So we go back. Right, let me do that again. So and then, yep, that little brick there. Then that there. Then that on the top of there. Then one of them. That there. Oh, click. And the other little flat tile. It's a bit crooked. Right. And then yeah, one of them. And then yep, that there. Then we take that and that sits on there. So that sits on there with another one of those. Yep. And we got more of the green bits. So that sits. Yep, like that over the top. And then the second one. Right, so where do these go? So one of them sits on that corner there, yeah? Slots in. And then and the other one, that sits on that corner like that. Cool. So that's the diagonal corners done. Right. So what now? So we've got to do the other two corners. So put that there, and that sits there, and we build it up, and build it up, and build it up until it's solid. Solid as a rock. Right, look. Me being silly. Right, so that sits on there. And then we got the other one of them. So I think it's basically the same as the other two, but yeah, it is. Right, and then yep, and then that sits on there. joins on there. Then that sits on the side. We have another one of them, and then more of them. So that sits on there, and then again we do that twice. Oops. And then that on there. That like that. That sits on there. And then got that one there. Right. So right. Yep, and then so that sits on there again. Then that on there. That on there, and then right, so they're done, and then we put these on the opposing corners. So that on there like that. And then that on there. So that's all 4 edges done. Hope they're all like snapped. There we go. Right. So we've got to layer the edges. So we've got that goes on there like that. Oh, whoops. So that sits on there, yeah. Fill in that bit. Same the other side. Right, so that's all filled in, but now we've got to tile it off. So we've got these 1x6 tiles, flat tile, and they go all over the edges. Yep, that's that side done. And then right. There we go, all the way around. Now, So we've got these two plates, so they go in between like that, yeah. And then we've got the heart-shaped leaves. They go into the corners like that, facing inwards. Yeah. So you've got a nice bit of symmetry there. I think if you were to put all of those together it would look like a clover leaf. And there was no bit in the middle. Right. So, what now? Right, we've got this square ring. So that goes around the middle, yeah? That's a snug fit. Right, and then we've put these 2x4s around. Oh, it's a shame they get mostly covered. More like an Easter egg then. So we put that side, and that side. And those two either side there. Yeah, like that. And then, right, yeah, so the last two pieces of the bag. Right, okie dokie, we've got a couple of little tiny spares. So, on to bag two. I think that's most of the base plate done. And bag two. And we've got two little bags. Yep, all empty. Right, and we've got some of these. We've got three different shades, I think. So we've got light orange, we've got mid orange, and then we've kind of got like a dark orange but sort of light red. They're really cool. So, and then we've got some of these smaller leaf pieces. So if you compare them, they've got 7 pieces of the leaf and they've only got 3. So, right, what to now? So, let's take out all the leaves so I can see what I'm doing. Right, so we've got 2x2 sort of burnt orange, or kind of red. So that goes over that side, and then that 2x3. Yep. So that 2x3 goes that side. Yeah, and then like this sort of lime green, I think. Yeah, so they go either side of the middle, and then we've got these little tiny corner pieces, and they go one there like that, and there, and then another one in this corner there, and what's this? So we've got these slightly raised pieces, so like that. So that goes there. And we got a single one, so that goes there. And then we got these corner pieces that we've got there. Whoops. Yeah. Do it again. Yeah. So they've got that edge, but they're corner. So they go on that edge, like that. And we got another one like that. So that goes there. Then another corner piece. And then another single. So that goes in like that. Right. And then we do the same round the other side. So a single, a double, then a corner, then another double piece, and then another corner, and then a single. There we go. Now we build up the base a bit more. So what's... oh, hang on, we've got some extra bits. So we put... oh, hang on. So we've got these little weird ridge studs. Is that going to show? Yeah. So, where do these go? So, one goes there apparently. And then loads of little studs in between. there, yeah. Yep. And then one. Oh, wrong way. Wrong one. Ooh. So another one there. Then one of those there. So we have another one in that corner. And then a green stud. And another green stud there. And then a green stud there. And then one of those there. That's it. So that fills that space in. Ooh, whoops. Right, and what now? The extra bits on the side here. So that goes there. And then that bit. Another corner piece there. And then corner there. A double one. And then a corner there. Right, cool. Okie doke. So, I've got these little circular slices with 2x2 studs on. So they go there. With a little darker green, or mid green. Ooh, very fiddly trying to get that in there. Ooh. Very fiddly trying to fit this in. Get in the hole. There we go, right. So, and then another one of these, this side, with another one stud. Get in there. Very fiddly. Right, there we go, done. Very fiddly that was. Right. Okay, so we've got extra little bits going on now. So, that on there. Yeah, that there. Then another little green stud on there. Yep. And then one of those there. Another green stud there. And another one of those weird ones there. Then we've got another green stud there. One of those there. And then one of them. Oh, whoops. One of them there. And then last one of them there. So that's all done. So you've got 2 on that side and 2 on that side, 3 on that side and 3 on that side. Oakley dokley. Right. So what's that? You've got a pasta shell piece. So apparently that sits on like that. Like that, yeah. Ah, this is the trunk. Yeah, the trunk of the bonsai tree. And then oh, we got one of these pieces. Got a curved edge, but it's higher than the other ones. Right, so I think that sits. Oh, I think that sits like that. Yeah, I think that's what it's saying. That bit there. Right, so we put that to one side. I think now, yeah, we're building up the base, the trunk and the branches. So we've got this piece, and we've got 2 of these side stud bricks, and they go there, one either side, and then we've got the same with these olive green with 4 on the side. So they go like that, yeah. And then 2 of those, okay, so 2 sand coloured bricks with a hole on the end. And they lead in the 2 holes. So obviously something's going to stick in the end. Right. So we have a double pin with a crosshatch. So that sticks. Oh, that sticks all the way in there. Then we have 2x1 flat. With a 2x1 triangle wedge, and that sits on the top like that. And then we've got a 2x2 brick with a crosshatch hole through it, and then a plug built in. And then I've got one of these. So it's 2x1 brick, but then with a flat 2 coming out. So that sticks in like that apparently. And then we have that going underneath. And apparently that sits on the top like that. Alright, yeah. Okie day. Right, so that goes on there. We've got these long stepped curve, and that goes on there. Oh. And we've got these pieces that look like feet or shoes. And they go on the end there. Right. So turn it over. And then we've got this double yellow brick with holes in. I think that those two will go in the holes like that. So we've got these weird little bricks with the circular edge. So how are they going on? Okay, the circular edge to the middle. So like that, yeah? And then the other one the other side. Yeah. So like that, with the circular edges to the middle. Then a 2x1. And then we've got like a dark sand. 2x2. That sits on the top there. Then, see, that's a classic piece. Right, and that sits there. And then we got one of these little disc shapes with the 2x4, 2x2 studs on the bottom. So that sits like that. Yep. Don't think I've missed anything. Nope. Then that goes on the top of there. Yep. With another 2x1 to level it off. Okay, so we turn it round. And we put another one there. And then we put these curved corner pieces. So they go like that. Where's the other one? There it is. And that goes like that. So it kind of forms a toe. And then, yes, so that becomes the trunk. And it will sit, so the holes go in like that. There we go. So that's the trunk of the bonsai. Little tree. Right. So what do we do? Ah, right, so another little branch coming off. So that sits on there. And we put a grey crosshatch in there. Oh. And then we've got these like little pieces that look like half of a croissant. You know what I mean? Look. Looks like a croissant. Croissant. One that hasn't been cooked yet. So, we take one of those, we put a little black crosshatch in the end there, and then that sits on there. There we go. So we've got a branch sticking out. And then we take, we've got this, it's not a T-bar, but it's, do you know what I mean? That's unique. So we take that, we put half a peg in there, and then we put a little flat tile sand coloured stud, and we put that on the top like that, covers up the stud. We put the other little black crosshatch in there, and then we put a receiver, so that extends the branch out a little bit, and then we put one of these double pins in there. Okay, so that goes on like that. Very nice. Makes it jut up at a funny angle. And then we have this triple joint cross hatches with a cross hatch hole in the middle. So we put two of those on two of the sides, and we've got these little ball joints with the cross hatch on the end. So we've got two of those, and we put one in one end and one in the other. So how does that go in? So does that sit? That sits on there like that, yeah? So we've got branches starting to go everywhere. And then we've got a chunky pasta piece that we put the cross hatch in the top, and then presume that goes on like that. Yep, like that. Nice. Right, so more chunky branch. So we take one of those, excuse me, and we put a 2x1 with a cross hatch hole in. So we put that there. Got a 1x1 with a hole. So that sits there, and then that sits there, so that's a double hole. Then we have a double plug with crosshatch, and that goes through like that. And then we have, so how does that go? That goes like that. And then that one comes down like that, and then that one sits on there like that, yeah? So how does that go on? That goes on like that. Yep, so another twisty bit. Alright, another one of them, and another crosshatch, and then that goes on there, extends that up. It's getting proper chunky and gnarly. Very cool. Right, so we do the same for the other side, I think. So we got another one of them. Another one of them. Yeah, so we've got different colours, so it's sort of like orangey brown with a crosshatch. So that goes on like that, and then that on there. So you've got a double crosshatch hole. And then you put the crosshatch in there. You've got another one of these, so that goes there, like that. That on the top. And then that one, like that. So how does that sit on it? So that goes on the top of that, on top of that, on top of that. So that sits on there, like that. So it's got loads of sticky outy bits now. Right, and then we've got the other half of the croissant. So that sits on the top of there. Very spindly. Looking cool. Right, all some leafy bits now. Right, so we've got these ball joint receivers. So we put that on there. Yeah, and then got these double grabbers. Well, not grabbers, they're like what grabbers hook to. So that sits across the middle like that. Then we've got these little step down pieces. And that goes on like that. So, and then we've got some bright orange 2x1 with circularised edges, and that goes on the back of there. And then, okay, right, so we need two of the lightest colour ones. Two of the lightest colour ones, so they go on like that, either side. Yeah? Nice. Right, and then, is that a mid-green one? Mid-orange. So we've got the slightly darker one. So does that sit on like that? Yeah? Okay. And then we've got a little 3 one that sits on the top. Like that, yeah? So 2 of those, yeah? So we've got to do that again. Right. So we put that on there. We put that on there again. bit on the end there, and then the leaves again. So one of those either side, the mid-orange one, so that goes on. Oh, that goes on like that. Yep, and then the little one on the top. Right, so where do these two go then? Okay, so they go on the ball joints on the end. So how do we, so that points outwards and sits on like that. Like that, yeah. And then the other one faces out like that. Yeah. So there we go, we have some of the foliage. Right, and now we have the darkest orangey red. So we've got this little, that's a cool little shape. So we've got these little bits as well. So they're not studs, but they've got a little raised bit. So we put 3 of those round this, almost at the centre. Oh, excuse me, hiccups. So like that, yeah. And then we sit, so they go on. Oh, okay, so they clip like that and sit. Okay, and they do the same there. Right, so they're nicely held on, and then we've got the other little 3 leaves to go over the top. Right, so very nice. So how does that sit on? So that sits, oh okay, so that sits on the other arm. So that sits on like that. Okay. So even more foliage. Nice. So, bag 3. Oh, I seem to have a few more spares left over. So, bag 3. We've got one more little bag. And lots more leaves. Right, so bag 3. So what's this? Oh, is this the side of the side bit here to cover that up. So 2 by 3. We have, right, so that goes on the corner like that, yeah. Got these little truncated 2 by 1, well 1.5 kind of. So that goes on like that, yeah. Then another one like that. And another one like that, yeah. So we've got this weird little shape. And then 3 by 1 flat tile. And then we got one of these little quarter circle plates. So that connects on like that. Then we have more so we have another 2 by 3 plate with a 1 by 4 along the end. And we got this again, circularised corner piece, so that goes on like that, I think, like that. We got that one that goes in there. We got another right angle pasta shell, and that apparently goes on there. Another one of those corner pieces. Yep. And then another one of these on the edge like that. And a tiny little quarter circle flat tile there. So there we go. I think that's done. Yeah, I thought so. That slides onto the so that fits on there like that, yeah. There we go, so that's the rest of the trunk. Gnarly trunk. Not quite straight. But yeah, that's cool. Right, what now? So we've got some crossbar pieces. Another one of them. So we have it facing that way. We have a half plug. Then we have the little flat tiled stud. Just cover it over. 2 little cross hatches. So you got more branches, yeah. So what do we do here? So we've got another right angle, and then we put a pin. We put a pin in the end of there, and then we've got another pasta piece, but it's only a slight bend, so that one goes on like that, yeah. So that corresponds with that. Yep, looks the same. And where's this go? Okay, that goes in like that, does it? So that goes there. Right. So how's that supposed to angle? Is it facing upwards? There we go. So we've got another one of these. Another one of them triple brackets. So that one on there. Then we got more ball joints. So they go in the end there like that. So that goes in the bottom there, hangs out. There's loads of different branches on this. Right. Okay. Okay, so we move that. There we go. Yeah, we move that slightly around. Okay. Yeah. So is that the other side of the? That's the other side of the trunk that we do now. So. There's that corner piece, there we go. So that goes on there. That goes there. That goes that side. And then that goes there. Yep. And that 3x1 tile there. And then that bit coming out that side. Yep. And then so that sits on there. Yep. That on there. Got that corner piece on there like that, yeah? Oh no, wrong side. Yeah. So the corner facing that way, yeah. Okay, we have the other noodle. Right angled pasta shape. So that goes there. Then the other corner piece. And then that little quarter circle there. And then that one there. There we go. So that goes on the other side of the trunk. Sits, there we go. So that's the trunk complete, I think. Yeah, cool. Right. Let me do another section of leaves and end of branch. Right. So this is the same as before. That across the middle. Yep. And then that over the top. And that on there. There we go. So now light yellow again. Light orange, sorry. Either side. And then the mid orange. And then one of the little triple ones. And then that sits on the top there. There we go. So you do that again. Across the middle again, there we go. And that on, oh, wrong way. And that on there. And then more leaves. More leaves. More leaves. There we go, right. Lots of leaves. There we go. So, which one do they go on? They go on there. So, we got one like that. So that faces like that, yeah. And then that one like that. Oops. So that one sits back on there. Right. Very cool. There we go. Lots more foliage. I think we've got 1, 2, 3 more points where foliage is on. Looking very good. Right. Then we've got this again. So we do that, And then we take the dark red leaves. Snap those all into place. And then we've got the little ones to go on top. Right. And then that sits on, yeah, so that sits on the top of there like that. There we go, look at that. It's almost covered, we've just got the 2 points now. Very cool. Right. So we're on to bag 4 now, but we've got to the halfway point, so I'm going to take a small break and I shall be back in a minute. Going to go stretch my legs. I must admit, this bonsai tree, I thought it was going to be a bit bigger. Right, I'll be back in a minute. There we go, it didn't take too long. Right. So, bag 4. Another little bag in there. So this is just leaves now, I think. Right, so we take the triple piece again and put one of those on there, and then another pasta piece. So that goes on like that, yeah. Then we put that on there. We've got 2 more ball joints. Yep. And then got a little cross hatch, so we put that in there. And then we put another double-sided pin in there. And then that goes in the top of there. Like that. So, how does that go in? Right. So that goes in. Goes in like that, yeah? Top here. Right. And then we got more of these. So a little bit of repetition, but that's how Lego sets go, unfortunately. So right, and then we've got more. Doesn't look like we've got any light coloured ones left, it's just mid and dark. Okie doke. So they go on the sides like that. And then a dark one on the top. And then a little triple one on the top. So we do that again. Yep. And then over the top. And that on the end. And more leaves. Lots of leaves. Another one over the top. And then another triple. So how do these connect on then? So they connect looking very leafy. So, and then we do another one of those. Like that. And then we clip those on. Oh, whoops. There we go. That's better. And then we put the ones on the top. Yeah. This is going to look nice on the side. So, I'm also thinking of buying the double cactus as well to go next to it, because that looks really cool. So that sits on the top on this bit here. So that's getting a bit congested around there though. Okay. Right, so it looks like we've just got the top bit. So bag 5. That was a little bag. So bag 5. Oh, whoops. Sort this out a tiny bit. There we go. So you can see more of that. See more of the tree. Can't see the tree for the leaves. Right, another little bag. And lots of leaves. So, right. So we've got that, another pasta piece. So that goes, so we've got a crosshatch that goes in there. And then a grey crosshatch that goes in that end. And then so that goes in the top of here. Yep. So we've got this bit here, the last, I think the last bit of foliage, or the last stem. Yeah, so I've got one of them again. And then put them on there. And then 2 more ball joints. So, like that. And then that goes on the top of there. So that sits on the top of there like that. Okay. So we've got another one of these, and then put a pin in the top. And then that goes on the top there. So yeah, we've got this is the last amount of foliage, I think. So a little bit more repetition. Okay, and then okay. So so we do that again. Yep. Managed to do it without having to go back a page. So right, we're getting there. Okay, so where do they go? How do they go? So they go like that. And then that one goes like that. Yes. There we go. There we go, you can see a bit more of the top bit. Right, so yes, and then we've got that again. So and as soon as I've finished building this, I shall upload the video to YouTube, especially so that the person that bought me this set, Jen Star, can watch it. So that goes on the top. I have to fold those down a little bit so that that can go in the middle. There we go. forgot to put those on. So I've got to finish those along the top. There we go. Very cool. Right, I think we've got one little, so on bag 6. One more little bag. So this is the last one. Right, so the last little branch and last set of leaves. So we take crosshatch receiver, we put a little crosshatch in the end, and then we put the last, I think it's the last, yeah, the last pasta piece on the end like that. So, oh, so that goes on there and faces down. Yeah. And then we got the last one of them. So we got the last 2 ball joints. And then another crosshatch with a crosshatch receiver, and then another little double pin goes in the other side. So, and then that fits on the top of there, and then that fits into there. Little bit of repetition on this little bit. There's a bar that goes over the middle, a little step down piece, and then that on the back. And then the leaves, the mid-orange ones, because we've got no light ones left, they're all along the bottom. And the burnt orange, the dark orange, almost red. And then the little triple on the top. So we do another one of them. last two of the mid-orange leaves. Right. So they go on like that. Yep. And then there. And then we got the last one of those. Right. And then we got the last three of these dark red, well, burnt orange. You clip on there. Clip. Clip. And then those on the top, the last three of those. And there we go. So, and that goes, so that goes on the top like that. So that sits in there. Very cool. There we go. All finished. I have to rearrange it slightly, so yeah. Slightly rearrange the leaves so that they spread around. I'm not sure which way this is supposed to face. But yeah. I love the different colours though, you know, going from the light orange to the mid orange to the dark orange. Yeah, that's really cool. But yeah, seeing as it's been a quiet stream, I'm not going to raid anybody, I'm just going to leave it as such. But yeah, that's a really cool build, very pretty. And as I said earlier, thank you to Jen Star. Hello Stephen. I've just finished, but you're welcome. I hope you're okay. Hope you're chilling on this Sunday afternoon, evening. Yeah, it is a nice bonsai. I'm just trying to decide which way it's supposed to be displayed, because we've got a little bit here that's not got any leaves. So I might have to sort of... hang on, there we go. Sort of rearrange the branches a little bit. Right, there are some of these areas here that are a bit... There we go. So it's not as congested around the middle area. See if we can rearrange it a bit. So is that... No, that won't... No, that doesn't move. Just now, Spiel Wasser Lego. Thank you for the follow. Spiel Wasser Lego. Play water Lego. I think. Is that what? That's German, isn't it? Yeah, play water Lego. Spiel Wasser Lego. Right. Is that gonna... I don't know, this... Can't move it round too much, because otherwise the leaves get in the way. But... yeah, thank you for the follow. I don't know, shall I? I don't think there's anybody on. Oh no, there's somebody we can raid. Now that we've got 2 people watching us. So... let's instigate a raid. Is it going to work? Got somebody on called Brooks Bricks who's doing Lego themselves, so let's go and raid them. See what they're building. So there we go. Oh, hang on, it says they've only got subscriber only chat on. Okay, let's cancel that. Yeah, I think I'm just going to end the stream. So, I hope you liked the build. It's very pretty, it's very colourful. And it was a very nice present for Christmas. So, like I say, thank you to Genstar. Right, I'm going to bid you all farewell. Thank you for being here, Stephen. And thank you for the follow, Spiel Wasser Lego. Interesting name. Right, I should probably be back next Tuesday. What am I going to be building then? I think I might be building some Marvel Lego. So there's Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus mechs. And probably, because it'll only take a little bit longer than that, the Ghost Rider motorbike. So yeah, that's probably what I'll be building next Tuesday. So I shall see you then. Thank you for watching and goodbye.